Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So today, as earlier we have discussed about why the Java is a platform independent language and why Java came. So the platform independence means we can compile the Java code at one operating system and we can run the Java code on another operating system. So that is a basic example. That's why the Java is a platform independence. Unlike C and C++, if we are compiling a code to the one operating system, then definitely we'll have to run that on the same machine. But in Java, we can compile once, anywhere, Vora. It's write once, run anywhere. So today, our topic I will discuss about what is a JDK, JVM, JRE. So before running any Java program, we require JDK, JVM, and JRE. So for clarification, what you can do JDK. JDK means it's one type of development kit that contain JVM and JRE. So JVM means Java Virtual Machine, JRE means Java Runtime Environment, and JDK is a Java development kit. So inside this kit, there is a one type of kit that contain JVM and JRE. I will explain more bit about the JVM. So JVM is a Java virtual machine that act as a runtime engine to run the Java application. So it's backbone of the Java program. So with the help of JVM, we can run our Java program. JVM is a one of the actually called the main method present in the Java code. So guys, I will discuss about the classes, methods and attribute and how can we create a simple Java program and create the object and which we can execute via the JVM. So internally, once we will install the JDK, so the complete kit once come along with the JVM and JRE. So it will call the main method, and JVM is a part of the JRE. And JRE, I can say it's runtime environment. So JRE is a one time of runtime of environment like Java bytecode execute. As earlier I explained about the bytecode. Suppose if you are making one of the program and you compile that program, so dot class file convert to the bytecode, and bytecode is executed by the JVM to provide all the libraries and support to the JVM users as a runtime. So JRE is a software package that contain what is required to run the Java program. Basically, it's an implementation of the JVM and which is physically exist. So JRE is nothing but providing the one runtime environment to execute our bytecode. Now come to the JDK. So JDK is a tool that contains JVM and JRE. It is the tool necessary to compile, document, package and program. JDKs completely include the JRE and JVM. Okay, so this is a basic thing to run the Java program. Now we'll come to this next question. If you are writing any Java program, then the every program will start execution will start from public static void main. So public is an access modifier. So I will explain the why the Java will start from the public static void main. Suppose you have created one classes that contains some of the attribute and member function. Attribute means instance variable, or it's a how to say the data member, you can say. Suppose I will explain one example of the classes on the later slides. First of all, you can see that how what is the meaning of the public static void main. So public is an access modifier, means public can access anywhere. So public means this method will be accessible by any of the classes. Now static is a keyword in the Java which identify it is a class based and it can be accessed without creating any instance of the class. Guys, I will explain about the static instance variable. But right now you can see public access anywhere. Static means without creating an object of the main class. It can be accessible with the help of class name without creating object. Just remember this thing. Void means it will not return anything. Okay, void means nothing it's returning. Main is the one type of signature which JVM understood. So while bytecode is convert to the executable code and it's run by the JVM, then this structure will search on all of the classes. If so, you can say this is the entry point of any of the Java classes. Okay, fine. Now I'll come to the next slide. Define class and object and provide the examples. So as I explained about the Java, so Java is one type of, means if we want to run any logic and we want to execute any logic with the help of JDK, we want to compile and run our Java code. So this is a class. We can make one of the classes that contain some of the data member, some of the member functions, and we to invoke the property of the classes we can create an object. Okay, so classes is a user defined blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. It represents a set of properties or methods that are common to all objects of one type. In general, class declare can include this type of component. So class is a one type of blueprint or prototype, you can say, that contain data member and member functions. And to, if you want to access the properties like data member and member function, you have to create an object, and with the help of object you can access the functionality of the class. Now the super classes. So every Java classes has one of the super class, and this class name as a object class. Okay, on next slide I will explain about the object class and how many default method which is directly extended on the classes. Right now, if you want to create one of the hierarchical representation or inheritance, if you want to implement, then you can create a super class and you can extend to your own classes. So the name of the parent class is superclass. You can see, and the default superclass is the object class. Okay. Now interfaces. Interfaces is also one type of pillars, we can say, or one type of OOPS concept which is providing the data abstraction. So we'll come to the next point, next slide, about the abstraction, data hiding, interfaces, and other stuff. Now you can see the overview only why interfaces came in Java. So a comma separated list of interfaces, and we can implemented one or more interface at a time to our classes. Now object is the basic unit of object oriented programming language that represent the real life entities. A typical Java program created many objects which has knows and interact to the methods and data members. So object is, if you are creating any object of classes, then you can directly access the functionality of that class. State represent the attribute, behavior represent the method. So state means, suppose we have an employee is one of the classes that contains some of the data member, like employee is salary or designation, department. These are the data members. And how to get access by the salary, so get salary, get department, or get ID. So these are the behavior of the classes. Okay, identity means it gives the unique name of the object. Means if you are creating an object, so every time if you are creating new object, one object, object o1, object o2, object o3, I will tell you that how to create an object in the class in next slide. Okay, now you can see this is only basic identification of every classes. If you want to access any functionality of the classes, you will have to create the object of that classes, and with the help of that object you can access the functionality of that class. Now we'll come to the next, what is a method, and provide this different signature of that method. So suppose earlier on earlier slide that in class contain data member and member function. Member function statement, set of 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 statement to perform the task. Suppose we have an employee classes, and there is a get salary or get department is two methods. So method returning a double salary or ID, if a method is returning ID of the employee, suppose integer. So these are the return type of the methods. So a Java method is a set of statement to perform the task. A method is placed in the class, signature of the method, the name of the method, return type of method, number of parameters in the method. So suppose there is one method m1 contain the return type, method name, and number of argument. Suppose if you want to get the ID of the employee, then you can pass not contain any 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 attributes or any a number of parameter. It will return only the integer. But if you want to provide some of the inputs to the parameter, inputs to the method, then you can pass to the parameter without with or 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 without parameter. Okay, so access specifier is a public, private, protected. Public means we can, private means it is a restricted to only classes, and protected means it will access within a package as well as a child class of the another package. Okay, I will explain more bit about the all the accesses modifiers in the Java. Now you can see access specifier and access modifier. So the static is one type of modifier which will means if you are creating, suppose early in earlier slide we have seen the public static void main. Static is one type of access modifier. So it will without creating an object of that class, with the help of class name we can access the method. So static synchronized is another. Return type is void, int, string. So suppose if you are getting the integer id, if you, employee id if you want to get, so the return type would be integer. If nothing is returning, then it would be void. If some of the name of the employees the getter method is returning, the return type would be string. Okay, method name of any name you can put, display, show, get data, show data, any of the, with and without parameters. Okay, now we'll come to the next slide. Explain the difference between instance variable and class variable. So we have discussed about the classes. Okay, class contains some of the instance variables. Suppose ID, name, salary. Okay, these are in employee classes. There is ID, name, salary. So ID, name, salary is nothing but a instance variable. So without creating object, we cannot access the functionality of that classes. For accessing any of the instance variable or class functionality, we'll have to create an object. So within a class, if you are declaring any variable, which is nothing but an instance variable, and if you are creating four object of particular class O1, O2, O3, O4, then you can directly access to the particular class's instance variable. So instance variable is a variable which has one copy per object. Okay, that means every object will have one copy. Suppose O1 has O1 is a one object that contain ID, name, salary. O2 is also contain ID, name, salary. O3 also ID, name and salary. So every object has a separate copy will be created. Okay, but a class variable is a variable which has only one copy per class, and class variable will not have a copy in the object. Suppose class variable is a static variable. If I am declaring my instance variable or with the or my data member with the static int id. Okay, so static int id means it belongs to the classes. So it is a shareable. Suppose I have created four objects O1, O2, O3, O4. So static variable can accept, means if O1 is modifying this ID value, then all the other object also get the modified copy. Okay, it will not create separate copies, and it is not, it is a shareable you can say, or and only one copy is created. And without creating object of the static variable, we can directly access it to the main, because main is also static. So main is directly access to the static variable. So difference between instance variable and class variable. So instance variable, without creating object we cannot access the instance variable, and static variable with the help of class name we can access. Instance variable is for every object separate copy will be created, and for static variable only one copy will be created. So these are the things which I have covered. The next session I will cover about the OOPS basic pillars of the OOPS concept and others Java important things. And later on we will continue about our Java interview preparation. So we'll go to the next upcoming slides. Okay. So thank you so much for cooperation. And if you like the video, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.